Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ukraine and Russia to hold separate talks with US officials in Saudi Arabia on Monday. Separate meetings to be held at the same time as diplomatic push to seek ceasefire gains momentum. Trump demands courts stop blocking his agenda after a judge suggested government ignored order to block deportations. Judge gives Justice Department until Tuesday to explain its action. Britain's Heathrow shut for a day after a major fire at electrical substation supplying power. Over 125 flights diverted, flight schedules disrupted around the world. And another red flag for global warming. Glaciers around the globe are melting faster than ever. UNESCO's recent report says last 3 years witnessed largest glacial mass loss on record. Good afternoon to all our viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. To begin with the latest that we are tracking from the UK. The Heathrow airport has been closed until midnight after experiencing a significant power outage due to a fire at a nearby electrical substation supplying the airport. The airport authority said the airport will be closed until 23:59 midnight today to maintain the safety of passengers and their colleagues. Now, it further added and asked the passengers to expect significant disruption over the coming days and urged them not to travel to the airport under any circumstances until the airport reopens. The authorities also said that whilst fire crews are responding to the incident, they do not have the clarity on when power may be reliably restored. Meanwhile, at least 120 flights in the air bound for Heathrow are being diverted due to airport's closure. Heathrow is one of the world's busiest airports for international travel. It handles over 80 million passengers a year. Air India has issued an advisory regarding the operations to and from the London Heathrow Airport. Its London Heathrow-bound AI-129 from Mumbai is returning to Mumbai. AI-161 from Delhi is diverted to Frankfurt. While all of the Air India's remaining flights to and from London's Heathrow Airport, including AI-111 of this morning, have been cancelled for the 21st of March. However, flights to London Gatwick remains unaffected. Air India will keep the passengers updated about resumption of operations as soon as they have more information on this. And now let's take a look at the details of the Heathrow Airport. If we talk about it, Heathrow handles more than 80 million passengers a year, and the operator says there are around 1,300 takeoffs or landings in a single day. Now, in the month of January, the government gave the permission to the Heathrow Airport for building a third runway, which could be ready by the year 2035. Now, Heathrow's 2 runways each measures almost 4 kilometers in length, while the airport covers a total area of 12.3 square kilometers. It opened in the year 1946 as London Airport before being renamed as Heathrow. Situated 25 kilometers west of central London, the present Heathrow serves 200 destinations in more than 80 countries, with passengers having the access to 4 terminals. Among its main flight destinations last year were Dublin, Los Angeles, Madrid and New York. Now, tensions continue as Ukraine, Russia and the United States prepare for key talks in Saudi Arabia. The meetings, which are set to take place on Monday, comes at a critical moment in the ongoing conflict, with the efforts for a potential ceasefire and new economic deals on the table. We have a detailed report. Take a look.
Monday marks a pivotal day as officials from Russia, Ukraine will meet counterparts from the United States in Saudi Arabia. Ukraine and Russian delegations will meet separately. The talks are expected to focus on halting strikes on critical energy infrastructure and exploring potential steps toward a broader ceasefire in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
На наступній найближчій
At the next meeting, which will be held on Monday in Saudi Arabia, our technical teams will be there. As I understand it, the structure is that there will be a meeting between Ukraine and America, and then, as the American partner said, shuttle diplomacy, followed by America and Russia, or it will be parallel meetings in one country on one topic.
зустрічі.
Действительно, мы рассчитываем, что переговоры будут.
You remember that we had quite a rich experience in implementing the Black Sea Initiative. We fulfilled all the conditions then, but the conditions in relation to us were never fulfilled. Therefore, of course, all this, as they say, on the shore will have to be discussed in details, and also the aspects related to the Ukrainian settlement, which the parties consider necessary to discuss.
И вчера также об этом.
Meanwhile, the European Union leaders have reiterated their support for Ukraine. But at a recent summit in Brussels, they stopped short of approving a major financial package for artillery purchases.
We decided in the conclusions to make the ramp up during the next 5 years in our own capabilities, but also to support Ukraine. All these instruments, the SAVE, more fiscal space, flexibilities on the use of cohesion funds, all of these give room to the member states to increase their support to Ukraine. Before this package, we have already a pledge of 15 billion euros from different member states.
Ukrainian President Zelensky had called for a 5 billion euro fund to help arm his country's forces against Russian aggression. Despite the hesitation on financial support, the European Union has agreed to explore joint military projects among member states, pooling resources to ensure that Ukraine receives more European-made arms. France and the United Kingdom are planning further efforts to solidify a ceasefire arrangement. As military leaders from 30 countries met in London Thursday to discuss future steps, UK PM Keir Starmer emphasized that ensuring a secure and sovereign Ukraine will be a critical component of any ceasefire decisions.
It is vitally important that we do that work because we know one thing for certain, which is a deal without anything behind it is something that Putin will breach. We know that because it's happened before. And I'm absolutely clear in my mind it will happen again. Therefore, what you're doing here today is vitally important to peace and security across Europe and for our NATO allies and, of course, crucially for the United Kingdom.
These diplomatic talks will certainly be watched closely by world leaders. Monday's talks could set the agenda for eventual peace in Ukraine, or at least set the tone for finding it in days, weeks, or months ahead. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
The Israeli government has dismissed Israel's domestic intelligence agency, Shin Bet's chief Ronen Bar on Friday. Netanyahu last week cited an ongoing lack of trust as the reason for moving to sack Ronen Bar, who was appointed in October 2021 for a 5-year term. Bar, meant to end his tenure only next year, was appointed by the previous Israeli government that briefly forced Netanyahu from power between June 2021 and December 2022. His relations with Netanyahu were strained even before the unprecedented Hamas attack on the 7th of October 2023, notably over proposed judicial reforms that had split the country. Well, Bar had already hinted that he would resign before the end of his term, taking responsibility for his agency's failure to prevent the attack. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council held an open meeting on Gaza as Israel resumed its bombing campaign and ground operations in the enclave. Israeli aircraft on Thursday dropped leaflets on residential neighborhoods, ordering people out of Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun towns in the north, the Shijaya district in Gaza City, and towns on the eastern outskirts of Khan Yunis in the south. Then late on Thursday, Israel's military said it had begun ground operations in the Shabura district of Gaza's southernmost city, Rafah, which abuts the Egyptian border. A day after sending tanks into central Gaza, the Israeli military said on Thursday it had also begun conducting ground operations in the north of the densely populated enclave along the coastal route in Beit Lahia. Hamas too fired a barrage of rockets towards Tel Aviv in central Israel. Hamas, which had not retaliated during the first 48 hours of the renewed Israeli attack, said its fighters fired rockets into Israel. On the other hand, there seems to be no pause in US President Donald Trump's confrontation with the US judiciary after a federal judge said in a strongly worded order that government ignored an order to block deportations. Donald Trump has now demanded intervention from the Supreme Court Chief Justice.
US President Donald Trump demanded on Thursday that courts stop blocking his agenda as he was once again at odds with the judiciary. The US president seems to be edging closer to a constitutional showdown after a judge suggested the administration ignored an order to block summary deportations. Trump has demanded that the Supreme Court intervene. He wrote on his social media platform warning that if Chief Justice of Supreme Court doesn't fix the situation, nation is in serious trouble. Chief Justice John Roberts a day earlier issued a rare rebuke by the country's top justice to remarks of the president after Trump called for the impeachment of the judge who ruled on the immigration case. James Bosberg, the chief judge of the U.S. District Court in Washington on Saturday, had issued an emergency order against the deportation of Venezuelans as they sought legal recourse. In a strongly worded order, on Thursday, Bosberg gave the Justice Department until Tuesday to explain why it went ahead with flights of Venezuelan migrants and explain why it did not violate his restraining order. 237 deportee Venezuelans were flown to El Salvador as Trump invoked 1798 Alien Enemies Act to remove alleged members of Tren Aragua, a Venezuelan gang. A lawyer for one of the men said that his client was a professional soccer player in Venezuela and U.S. authorities accused him of gang membership based on a tattoo that in fact was associated with his fandom for Real Madrid.
And now let's get you news from around the world in brief. Over 80 Tesla vehicles were damaged outside a showroom in Ontario's Hamilton on Tuesday. The vandals scratched the hoods and fenders of the vehicles and punctured their tires. The police is currently investigating the incident. A major bridge in Ecuador has collapsed, resulting in one confirmed death and 2 people still missing. The 200-meter suspension bridge crumbled, sending several vehicles, including 4 trucks and 2 motorbikes, plunging into the Magro River. This incident occurred about 50 kilometers north of Glacial. The disaster has prompted concerns about safety on the country's roadway. In a world of luxury-driven influencers, anonymous social media star El Negotiator stands out by using his platform to secure food, gifts and resources for those in need. In just 7 months, El Negotiator has gained over 600,000 followers while keeping his face and his identity completely hidden. His mission is simple but powerful: to help those in need. In a vibrant celebration of the spring equinox, members of indigenous communities gathered at the ancient Heathrow archaeological site, performing rituals in front of the iconic Pyramid of the Sun. This tradition highlights the cultural significance of the equinox as participants honor their heritage and the changing seasons. Shanghai's stand-up comedy scene is thriving, drawing both the locals and expats with its unique blend of humor that transcends language barriers. Comedians like Jan Badenholtz and Nora emphasize the city's multicultural atmosphere, where jokes resonate across diversified audiences. This board-showing scenes not only fosters cultural exchange, but also reflects Shanghai's cosmopolitan spirit. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Stay tuned to know how melting glaciers affect daily lives. And acknowledging the indispensable role of forests in feeding, sustaining and nurturing our planet on the International Day of Forests, coming up next.
इंडिया में जितने इंडियंस हैं उतने ही इंडियाज भी. So for the record, this is my India.
This is my Undekha. Unsuna.
Unbelievable. unbelievable India.
This is my favorite designer wear wala India.
My sakhat energy hero India.
এই হলো আমার দুর্দান্ত রোড ট্রিপের ইন্ডিয়া।
So India, join the Waves Explorer Challenge.
Show us what makes you say, for the record.
This is my India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Now, Bharatiya Janata Party has issued a 3-line whip for all its Lok Sabha Member of Parliaments, asking them to be present in the Lok Sabha on Friday for the passing of the Budget 2025. Further, the Lok Sabha has announced that the Parliament will apply the guillotine. In parliamentary terms, the guillotine refers to a procedure ordered by the Speaker of the lower house to pass a bill without any discussion. Bills that are considered necessary for implementation but could be delayed due to opposition logjam are passed through this route. India and the European Union are moving closer to a landmark trade agreement. With negotiations gaining momentum, both the sides are looking forward to strengthen economic ties and expand market opportunities. The recent visit of the European Commission to New Delhi highlighted key areas of collaboration, from trade and investment to digital innovation and sustainability. Here's more.
In a landmark move to strengthen economic ties, the European Commission, led by President Ursula von der Leyen, recently visited New Delhi. This unprecedented delegation underscores the deepening relationship between India and the European Union. Central to their discussions is the ambitious India-EU Free Trade Agreement, with both sides aiming to finalize negotiations by the end of this year.
Technology, investment, innovation, green growth, security, scaling और मोबिलिटी पर सहयोग का एक ब्लूप्रिंट तैयार किया गया है। हमने अपनी टीम्स को एक पारस्परिक लाभकारी बायलैटरल फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट को, एफटीए को, इस वर्ष के अंत तक संपन्न करने का निर्देश दिया है।
Initiated in 2007 and resumed in 2022, this agreement seeks to enhance market access, remove trade barriers and boost bilateral trade. For India, the FTA promises enhanced access for textiles, pharmaceuticals and IT services to European markets. Conversely, the EU anticipates greater entry for its automobiles, machinery and luxury goods into India's consumer base.
EU-India trade agreement is very important for us. And I can tell you, while semiconductor is important for India, even automotive is important. EVs are important, and therefore it just makes sense for Europe and India to partner together for R&D, for manufacturing, for supply chain diversification, and most importantly, even for market.
This collaboration is set against the backdrop of shifting global geopolitics, where both India and the EU seek to enhance their strategic autonomy and economic resilience.
For Europe, India is a pillar of certainty in an increasingly uncertain world.
Together with Prime Minister Modi, we want to upgrade the strategic partnership with the largest country and democracy in the world.
As negotiations progress, the world watches closely, anticipating a landmark agreement that could redefine economic landscapes across continents. Mark Limburg reporting from The Hague, the Netherlands, for DD India.
You're watching DD India Live, and now it's time to get you all the latest from the ongoing weather conditions. The United Nations reported that all 19 global glacier regions lost mass in the year 2024 for the third year in a row, stressing that saving glaciers is now crucial for the planet's survival. The United Nations World Meteorological Organization reported that last 5 years have seen the fastest glacier retreat on record, highlighting the urgent need to preserve the glaciers for environmental, economic and societal survival. World Meteorological Organization's chief, Celeste Saulo, said over 275,000 glaciers covering 700,000 square kilometers are rapidly shrinking due to climate change. And all 19 glaciers region experienced net mass loss for third consecutive year in 2024. Now, the agency further said that world's glacier lost 450 billion tons of mass in the year 2024. Well, the melting of glaciers, which is a direct consequence of global warming, is accelerating with dramatic consequences for lives and livelihoods. If we talk about it, melting glaciers can trigger floods, landslides and avalanches, posing a significant threat to towns and villages. Now, such natural disasters can only cause disruptions to global supply chains. Secondly, glaciers provide fresh water supplies, but their disappearance will affect millions of people as it puts water resources at risk. Thirdly, most of the river basins will reach their peak water within the century, after which water levels will decline. And further, rising snow lines alter biodiversity, affecting vegetation and potentially leading to significant changes in mountainous ecosystem. Not only this, glacier retreat forces some communities to relocate and affecting hydropower generation along with food security. Moreover, glaciers are the second largest contributor to rising sea levels, but they are expected to become the main driver in the coming decades. So, global sea level has gone up by 10 centimeters since 1993, according to NASA satellite observations. Well, today on the 21st of March, we join hands to celebrate the International Day of Forests, a day established by the United Nations to recognize and protect one of our planet's most vital resources. Forests are not only home to over 60,000 tree species, but they also support 80% of the world's terrestrial biodiversity. DD India's Taposh Bhattacharya gets you more. Take a look.
Today, on March 21st, we celebrate the International Day of Forest. A day established by the United Nations to recognize and protect one of our planet's most vital resources. This year's theme, Forest and Food, highlights the deep connection between forest and our food system. The forests provide fruits, nuts, spices and medicinal plants, sustaining millions of people worldwide. They are home to pollinators that help crops grow and support ecosystems that make our food production possible.
Viksit Bharat of 2047 needs to secure nutrition and livelihoods for 160 crore people. The challenge is vast and the forests are an answer. They can strengthen our food systems while making economy greener. Forests not only feed us with fruits, nuts and oilseeds, but they also keep agriculture alive by sheltering pollinators, providing fresh water and keeping soils healthy. The livelihoods of 27.5 crore Indians depend on forests. Forests are our allies. Let's help them help us.
Beyond food, forests act as a powerful carbon sink, helping combat climate change. They house 80% of world's terrestrial biodiversity and provide essential resources for billions, especially indigenous and rural communities. Today, let this celebration be a call to action. Support sustainable food choices, protect our forest, and promote reforestation efforts. Whether by joining local tree plantation initiatives or spreading awareness, every action counts. By protecting forests, we also secure the future of our food system. Let's stand with nature and work towards a greener, healthier planet, because a thriving forest means a nourished world. By protecting forests, we are also securing the future of our food system. Let's stand with nature and work towards a greener, healthier planet, because a thriving forest means a nourished world. With camera person Shiv, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.